to talk about upside? One's got a playoff win in AAA, one's running wild in high A, and one is a switch-hitting teenager behind the plate. Let's get into it today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On A's podcast. Locked On A's is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your A's every single day. And thank you for helping make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the country. What is up, everyone? My name is Booney, and I am a lifelong A's fan. I have been podcasting about the A's heading into my second season now. I cover the A's 5 days a week during the season, and yes, even in the offseason, with post-game reactions, prospect deep dives, and all the wild chaos in between, talking about the A's. This is your show, your A's. I'm just simply driving the bus. Couldn't be happier and wouldn't be doing this if you were not right alongside me here today to get some takes and analysis about your A's. I always get fired up about covering the prospects you may or may not have heard of coming up in the farm system. And that is exactly what today's show is about, which is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today on Locked On A's, we are going on the road. Well, kinda. The Locked On Shuttle is gassed up and launching a full-on scouting mission through the future of the franchise. First stop, Las Vegas, Nevada, where KADE Morris is knocking louder than ever on the big league door. After slicing through AA hitters in 2025 and adjusting to the chaos of the PCL, Morris finished the season on a heater, stringing together quality starts and earning most valuable pitcher honors for the Aviators. He's got a starter arsenal, a bulldog mentality, and the kind of rotation-ready polish that should have the A's front office watching closely this spring. From there, we'll drop into Lansing, where outfielder Cameron Leary just spent 2025 burning up base paths and building a reputation as a top-of-the-order pest. He swiped 56 bags and posted a July so scorching it nearly melted the Midwest League. Then it's off to Stockton to check in on teenage switch-hitting backstop Dylan Feen, who's learning how to be a pro while flashing raw pop, solid plate discipline, and a defensive toolkit that could anchor him long-term. It's a coast-to-coast look at the A's rebuild in motion and a glimpse at the names that could headline the next competitive chapter in Vegas. Let's hit the road. Las Vegas, Nevada, the future home of the 2028 Las Vegas A's, but the current home of the Las Vegas Aviators, where I want to talk about the Las Vegas Aviators pitcher of the year, KADE Morris. KADE Morris might not be a household name yet for A's fans, but the 23-year-old right-hander turned heads with a solid 2025 campaign in the minors. A third-round pick by the Mets in 2023, number 101 overall out of the University of Nevada, Morris was acquired by the A's at the 2024 trade deadline in exchange for veteran Paul Blackburn. Since joining the A system, Morris has steadily climbed the ladder and now finds himself one step away from the big leagues in AAA. Let's dive into his 2025 performance, development strides, strengths and weaknesses, and what his future might hold. Personally, I like Paul Blackburn. I liked him a lot. And at the time, I did not like the trade. So I paid close attention to Morris, and at first, he was not good. He got hit hard in high A Lansing right after the trade. Made a start in AAA Vegas, got hit even harder. 2025? Morris's 2025 season was a tale of two chapters. A dominant start in AA and an educational stint in the hitter-friendly Pacific Coast League. He opened the year at AA Midland and overpowered Texas League hitters with a 2.79 ERA and 9 starts, 51 and 2/3 innings. That strong showing earned him a May 31st promotion to AAA Las Vegas, putting him in a challenging environment where both altitude and seasoned hitters tested his mettle. After moving up to Las Vegas, Moore's stats took a hit at first. He finished the regular season in AAA with a 7-7 record and a 5.22 ERA over 19 starts. The inflated ERA reflects some growing pains and the tough pitching conditions of Las Vegas, as the PCL is notoriously hitter-friendly. In 98 1/3 innings at AAA, Morris struck out 80 batters while walking 87, and he surrendered 112 hits. Those numbers show that he wasn't missing tons of bats in AAA and often had to pitch to contact, resulting in traffic on the base pass. Despite the ups and downs, Morris logged 150 total innings in 2025 with a 4.38 ERA and 128 strikeouts across both levels. That matters. It showed durability and an ability to shoulder a full starter's workload. In September, 3 starts, 1.59 ERA, 17 innings, 19 Ks, 12 hits. The pinnacle came in the Pacific Coast League Championship Series, where Morris was given the ball in game 1 and delivered a gem. He tossed 7 innings of 1-run ball, allowing just 4 hits and 2 walks and a 7-1 victory to set the tone for the Las Vegas title run. In fact, the Aviators went on to sweep the series and secure the PCL championship, with Moores being named the club's most valuable pitcher for the season. Not bad for his first full year in the organization. It's worth highlighting that throughout the 2025 season, Morris had flashes of real dominance. For example, in late August, he fired 6 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts against the Iowa Cubs, leading Las Vegas to a 10-0 shutout win. He even earned a Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Week honor in June. Evidence that when everything clicks, he can be as good as any arm in the league. The inconsistency he showed early in AAA started to fade as he made adjustments, a great sign for his development. On the mound, Morris is 6'3", 190 with an athletic build and a competitive fire. Morris brings a 4-pitch arsenal and a demeanor that observers routinely praise. Moore's fastball sits in the low to mid-90s and actually throws 2 variants, a 4-seam heater that can touch 95 to 96 and a sinking 2-seam fastball that goes to about 92 to 95. His primary breaking pitch is a mid-80s slider. He also has a slow curveball in the mid-70s with true 12 to 6 shape. The curve provides a big velocity change from his other offerings, that's for sure. But Morris is still working to tighten it up, so it's just not a show-me type of pitch. Interestingly enough, Morris has a changeup, and that might be his sneaky best pitch. He throws it in the upper 80s with good arm speed. His changeup has continued to improve and flashes plus at times. In fact, by late 2025, some scouts were grading his change higher than his slider. He sells the changeup well, getting hitters out in front, and when he's locating it in the bottom of the zone, it's tough. The development of the changeup is a key piece because a solid changeup gives him a weapon against left-handed hitters and rounds out his repertoire. Mechanically, Morris has a quick, easy arm action and a delivery generally that repeats well. He reminds me a lot of an old A's legend, Tim Hudson, when you see his mechanics. What I like most about him, he's known as a fierce competitor. He's a dog. He is a dog like a Tim Hudson type of dog, a guy who attacks hitters and isn't afraid of challenging them. That competitive drive is evident whenever he pitches. When Morris is in rhythm, he works efficiently, fills up the strike zone, and keeps his defense involved. The big thing about Morris is that he has a legitimate starter's arsenal. He can reach the mid-90s with his fastball, four-seam, and sinker, and he pairs it with two distinct breaking balls plus an effective changeup. Standing 6'3" and athletic, Morris logged 150 innings across two levels in 2025, demonstrating the stamina to be a rotation workhorse. He thrives on competition and rises to the occasion, as shown by his playoff performance. And he maintained his velocity and stuff deep into the season. That bulldog mentality and leave it all out there attitude, as he often says, help him battle through tough outings and avoid implosions. Towards the end of the season, Morris clearly learned how to pitch smarter in the PCL, limiting damage, working around hits, and trusting his stuff, finishing the season on a dominant run, including a 7-inning, 1-run gem in the championship, has boosted his confidence and proved he can adapt at higher levels. Now, he does have some weaknesses. While Morris's control is generally solid around 3 walks per 9 innings, his command within the strike zone still wavers. At this point, hitters don't fear his breaking stuff the way you would want for a top-tier strikeout pitcher. As Morris moved up, his strikeout rate dropped a bit, highlighting that he's not a pure power pitcher who blows hitters away. He punched out 128 batters in 150 innings in 2025, roughly 7.5 Ks per 9, and in AAA, it was closer to about 7.3 Ks per 9. For comparison, many frontline pitching prospects rack up far more strikeouts in the high minors. Morris relies on mixing pitches and inducing weak contact rather than overwhelming velocity or bite. That can work, but it leaves less margin for error. In Vegas, he gave up 112 hits in under 100 innings, indicating that when he missed his spots, batters squared him up. He'll need to refine his pitch sequencing and maybe add a bit more deception to miss more barrels as he faces MLB caliber lineups. Morris is the type of pitcher who might not wow you with a single elite pitch, but the sum of his parts makes for an intriguing package. In terms of style, I talked about Tim Hudson a little bit earlier. Many observers think of KADE Morris as a young Chris Bassett, another former A's right-hander who found success with a sinker-slider mix, solid changeup, and a gutsy competitive approach. Like Bassett, Morris does not rack up gaudy strikeout totals, but he mixes pitches well and isn't afraid to challenge hitters. He's also drawn loose comparisons to another former A, Trevor Cahill, given a similar sinking fastball and an emphasis on ground ball outs. If everything clicks in Morris's development, he could project as a mid-rotation workhorse, the kind of pitcher who can give you 6+ innings a night with a chance to win. Somewhat akin to a Rick Porcello, if you remember, at his peak. Porcello won a Cy Young as a contact manager. That said, Morris's most likely role, based on scouts' evaluation, is a back-end rotation starter. He profiles as a back-end starter in the eyes of many thanks to well-rounded, if not dominant, pitch mix and decent control. In other words, his floor is relatively high. It's easy to envision him at least eating innings as a 4th or 5th starter in the big leagues once he gets acclimated. In a worst-case scenario where the rotation doesn't stick, his stuff and bulldog mentality could also play in a multi-inning relief role, similar to how some prospects became swingmen out of the bullpen. But given his improvements and competitive drive, the A's will surely give him every chance to start. So, when might we see KADE Morris on a big league mound in Sacramento and possibly Las Vegas? As the end of 2025, he was not added to the A's 40-man roster. The A's didn't need to protect him from the Rule 5 draft quite yet, and he did not get a September call-up since the AAA season finished just a week before the MLB's end. However, Morris knows he's very close to realizing his dream. Quote unquote, "It feels like my foot's in the door. I'm right there. I can taste it." he said in September, describing the excitement of being on the cusp of the majors. His focus this offseason is, quote unquote, doing everything I can to put myself in a position to be called up during the 2026 campaign. Barring any setbacks, Morris will likely return to AAA Las Vegas to start 2026, where he can continue owning his craft. If he picks up where he left off, remember those last 3 starts in September? He now needs to do that from April to September, and then we have something. The A's will be looking for pitching, and a strong first half in AAA might earn Morris a summer call-up to Sacramento. At the very least, a debut by September 26 is on the table if he stays healthy and effective. In his own words, he isn't just aiming to reach MLB. He's trying to be a superstar, not just get there, but stay there. That mentality should serve him well as he makes the final leap. The A's have been stockpiling young arms, and Morris is firmly in that mix. By 2026, 2027, he could be competing with the likes of a Gage Jump, Jamie Arnold, or Braden Nett for a rotation spot. His experience in AAA and big game poise, as shown in the PCL playoffs, might give him a leg up when a vacancy opens. It's not unreasonable to expect Morris to crack the A's rotation sometime in late 2026 or early 2027. KADE Morris may project more as a solid mid to back end starter than a frontline ace, but he has a lot going for him. He's battle tested after a full year in AAA, improving at just the right time, and carries himself with a maturity and hunger. This following quote really stuck out to me. I love start day. If I only get to play 1 game a week, why not leave it all out there, he says. Don't be surprised if within the next year or 2, Morris is logging innings in Sacramento and possibly Las Vegas. And with his drive, athleticism, and ever-improving changeup, he might just exceed that back-end starter label and become something more. A's fans should keep a close eye on KADE Morris. He could be part of the next wave of homegrown pitching heading to Las Vegas, armed with lessons learned and ready to make his mark. Coming up next, we head to Lansing, where Cameron Leary turned the base pass into a track meet and pitchers into nervous wrecks. 56 steals, a 383 on base percentage, and a July that looked like Barry Bonds with wheels. We're breaking down how the A's may have found their next leadoff spark plug in the 10th round. Don't blink, or you might miss them. Up next. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night, before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during happy hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you have not done so already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. Access to the ad-free audio feed for Locked On A's, which is compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of the show. Go to lockedona's.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Welcome back to Locked On A's, talking A's prospects. KADE Morris and the breakthrough he made in Las Vegas last year, being the Aviators Pitcher of the Year. I want to apologize. I'm not going to be able to get to Cameron Leary today or Dylan Feen. I love covering the prospects, and I want to make sure, just because one prospect we went long on takes time from other prospects I do want to talk about. And I do want to talk about Cameron Leary and Dylan Feen and give them their due time. I will do so possibly in a segment later on this week, maybe next week, but for sure, I'm going to get to Cameron Leary, who was a 2024 10th round pick out of Boston College. He led the whole A's system in stolen bases. In low A Stockton, he was 44 of 49. I believe in high A Lansing, another 8 for 11. The kid's unbelievable. Comparisons you hear about Cameron Leary is possibly a Jacoby Ellsbury if his bat can come around. He is something else, man. He's not on the prospect list. He's somebody that nobody is really talking about. Out of Boston College. The thing against Leary is his age. He's going to be 24 years old next year, which means he's a little old to be in high A. Where he will start the year is a question mark. I think, considering his age, he's going to be in double A. And if we see him to continue to progress as he did last year in low A Stockton and high A Lansing, the call-up's going to be rather quick for him. The other kid I've been very excited about, Dylan Feen, switch hitter, 19 years old, catcher, low A Stockton, big boy, 6'3", 210, has drawn comparisons to former athletic Jonah Heim. If you watched my futuristic video, 2030, the A's, I actually had Dylan Feen starting for the A's in 2030. Let me put up the prospect list as far as how it ended last year. You see it on the bottom, scrolling. Leo DeVries 1, Arnold 2, Jump 3, Braden Net 4, Henry Bolte 5, Devin Taylor, 2025 draft pick out of Indiana, Tommy White, 2024 out of LSU, Henry Baez, who we picked up in the Mason Miller trade, Mason Barnett, who we got in the Lucas Ursay trade 2 seasons ago, Joshua Kuroda Grauer, 2024 third round pick out of Rutgers, Gavin Turley, 2025 draft pick out of Oregon State, Steven Echevarria, I did a feature on him over the holidays, Gunnar Hoglund, I think he's going to be our number 5 starter this year. Real high on him. KADE Morris, I just featured. Eduardo Nunez, who we picked up in the Mason Miller trade. Ryan Lasko out of Rutgers. Will Johnston, impressive in this past season's Arizona Fall League. Nate Nankill, keep an eye on him. Wei-En Lin. A lot of people have Wei-En Lin as one of the A's top 5 prospects going into 2026. Same with Shitaro Mori. Kenya Huggins, who we got in the Miguel Andujar trade. Cole Miller, played in low A Stockton, had a big-time year. High school kid, like him a lot. Brennan Malone out of Oregon. Zane Taylor, who I feel was the steal of the draft. Bobby Bozer out of Florida. A lot of exciting prospects coming up for the A's this upcoming season to keep an eye on. Watch your low A. Watch your high A Lansing Lugnuts. Watch your double A Midland. Watch the triple A Vegas Aviators, because the prospects of the future are playing right now. And they are extremely, extremely fun to watch. What decides whether a player should be called up? We talked about KADE Morris throughout most of the show. And I talked about the September. And I mentioned that in September, Morris dominated and said, in order for Morris to take the next level up, his April through September needs to be like the month of September. If you look at past individuals that have gotten called up from Vegas this past season, Jacob Lopez, JT Ginn, Jack Perkins, all dominated Vegas. You got to be able to dominate Vegas in order to get called up, no matter if it's a hitters league or not. The level between AAA and MLB goes up quite a bit. So that's what I want to see from KADE. And what's promising about KADE is that we saw glimpses of that at the end of the year in Vegas. The key thing, just like any other player, can there be consistency? If there is, we got something in Morris. What you can't teach is the kid's fight, is the kid's competitiveness. And that's what I love about Morris. The bulldog he is. You've heard me talk about Jack Perkins being an absolute bulldog. I see that same thing in KADE Morris. Need consistency from Morris in Vegas. And considering his age and where he is at, it's make or break this year. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On A's. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On A's so you get all the latest episodes. You could find Locked On A's on social media on X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Locked On A's. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On A's ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedona's.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB.